Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Independence Day to you, July 4th. Hopefully this evening, I know that's one of my favorite parts about this holiday, as Peter knows. Fireworks are just really enjoyable. One time, Peter and I went and watched fireworks in January and nearly froze. So I like watching them on July 4th a lot better. Children of Israel, and they were wandering in the wilderness, and they had complained about their lack of food. And God had provided food for them. He provided food for them on 6 mornings, but none on the 7th, because God was teaching them to rest on the 7th. Well, He's providing for them this food. All they have to do is gather it. You'd think they'd be happy, right? Their needs are settled. They're going to be good, right, Peter? Yeah, no. These people complained. In Numbers chapter 11, verse 4 says, "And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat?" In other words, the manna isn't enough. We want to eat meat. Verse 5, "We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic." Oh, they're remembering all the good food they had in Egypt. Because, it was just going great for them in Egypt, right, boys and girls? No, it wasn't going great for them, was it, Peter? They were slaves. But all they can think about right now was, well, at least we got to eat yummy food. They're completely forgetting what God has done for them, and they are complaining. Boys and girls, I know as a teacher, complaining is one of my pet peeves. I will often redirect kids' words because a complaining spirit is one that's ungrateful. Well, the children of Israel are complaining again. They're complaining to Moses. They're saying this manna isn't enough. We want meat. And they're complaining to God, and they're ultimately saying, God, you aren't good enough. Whoa. Can you imagine telling God that He's not good enough? That's what the children of Israel are doing. You know what, boys and girls? That's what we complain. When we complain about different things, I know some of the fireworks shows this year got rained out. When we complain about that, we're saying, God, you're not good enough. You didn't know enough. You weren't doing what was best. But God always does what's best, boys and girls. Well, Moses goes to God. He talks to God, and he's like, these people are complaining again, God. What are we going to do about it? They want meat, but you've provided manna. What can we do? And God talks to Moses, and he tells him, he says, I'm going to send you meat. I want you to meet with the elders, the rulers, the leaders, and then I'm going to send you meat. He says in Numbers chapter 11, verse 18, "And say thou unto the people." Okay, so God is telling Moses what to tell the people. "Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh." He's going to give them what they wanted. Even though they complained, he's going to give it to them. "For ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, Who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat." So you complained that it was better in Egypt, so I'm going to give you the meat that you want. But look at verse 19. "Ye shall not eat meat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days. He says, I'm going to give you so much meat that you're going to be eating for it, not just 1, 2, 5, 10, 20. Verse 20, "But even a whole month, until it come out at your nostrils, and it be loathsome unto you, because that ye have despised the Lord which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why came we forth out of Egypt?" He said, because you're complaining about this, because you're complaining that I took you out of Egypt, you're going to eat it, and you're going to eat it some more, and you're going to eat it some more, until your stomach hurts. The idea of you're filled to the brim, we might say, it's going to feel like it's coming out your nose. You're so full. It's going to make you sick. Why? Because you complained. You thought you knew what was best. Well, sure enough, they go to sleep. And overnight, God blows in, it talks about him blowing in a wind, and with that wind come the quail. And they were just piled on the ground, heaped on the ground. And the people went out and they got as much of the quail as they could possibly eat. And they took it home and they ate it. And like the Bible said, it wasn't just one day. It wasn't just 2 days. It wasn't just 5 or 10 or 20. They kept eating it until they were so full of the quail. In verse number 33, it says, "And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people. And the Lord smote the people with a very great plague." They were still eating it. They were still chewing it. And all of a sudden they are sick. Their stomachs hurt. They can't take it. They feel so miserable. Verse 34, and he called the name of that place, and it gives the name for it, because there they buried the people that lusted. They got so sick from what they ate that some of the people even died. Wow. When we complain, we don't think about the punishment being death, but that was the punishment for these people who had lusted and desired, and they wanted that good food that they had in Egypt so much that they were willing to tell God they'd rather be in Egypt, that the penalty for that sin was death. That's a pretty stiff penalty, boys and girls. Thankfully, if you complain about dinner this afternoon to mom or dad, likely you're not going to choke on your dinner and die. But, boys and girls, do we look at our sin that seriously? Because someone did die for that complaining you do. Someone did die for your complaints, for your lusting after things, as the people did in this verse was the word. They coveted after things. Boys and girls, who was it? Do you remember, Peter? Who was it who died for all of our sins? That's right, Jesus. How did he die, Peter? He died on the cross, that's right. Jesus did that to pay for your sin, boys and girls, and for my sin. And not just our sin, boys and girls, but all the adults who are listening too. Jesus died for all of our sins. So this week when you complain and you're ready to say, "But I wanted," or "That's not what I asked for," and you're ready to make a complaint, remember that complaint, Jesus died on the cross and paid for it. Find some word to turn your complaint into a thank you statement. Thank mom and dad for the food they've provided for you. Thank them for what they've given. Think about that this week, boys and girls. Have a good week.